What is up, guys? Drew Martin here talking SEC football week number 7, almost halfway through the season. We're still going strong. Terrible weekend last week. I apologize for the losers. Worst weekend of the season. So looking to get in bounce back mode. We'll recap it right now before we get into the SEC picks for this week. We got 7 games, 10 minutes or less. You know the drill. Unless you're new, feel free to comment below on YouTube, Facebook as well, Twitter, all Drew Martin bets. We got last week 1-6, 1 win, 6 losses. I know it's ugly, lost some money. Best bet also lost as well, so 0-1 on that. That makes year-to-date record 22-19, profitable 54% on the year, and best bets 4-1. 80% off of the loss, looking to get another win here. So we'll go in order of kickoff, talking SEC, every game on the board for the Southeastern Conference, talking 12 noon Eastern. First kick here on CBS, Auburn at Arkansas, 54 being the total. Arkansas minus 5-point home favorites. I'm on the Auburn Tigers, +5. I think Bo Nix and company, we've talked about it before. I think that Penn State game, the loss almost becoming 2 against Georgia State. And since then, they've actually looked pretty good. I know they lost against Georgia, but Georgia's really running through people. I think Bo Nix needs to go a little bit more north and south with his running ability, and also needs to hand the ball to Tank Bigsby a little bit more. He's going to be running the ball on Sundays. Give that ball to him a little bit more. And Arkansas, look, some tough losses of late to Georgia, who beat both Auburn and Arkansas, nothing to shake your head at. And Ole Miss as well, which they let up a ton of yards, over 50 points. So I think War Eagle will be able to move the ball offensively. It's going to be a tough one. I'll take the 5 with the underdog. I think it's a toss-up game. It's not only because Auburn helmet in the background here. I think Auburn +5 is the best way to bet this game. Also 12 noon Eastern on ESPN, Florida Gators at the LSU Tigers, 59 being the total. Gators laying 12 on the road in Baton Rouge. LSU offense is really bad. They've been dormant the last 2 games against Kentucky and Auburn. I know they jumped out to the lead against Auburn and then pretty much shut it down. And against Kentucky, they couldn't do much either. Florida on the other side of things, look, their offense is all right. You know, they can run the ball. They got athletes at the quarterback position, and their running ability is good. I don't like them throwing the ball as much. I think their defense is a little bit underrated, especially going up against this LSU offense. I think they're going to perform pretty well on the road. We get a total of 59. You know, that's obviously one less than 60. It's not a low total in college football. And Florida's also trended towards the under. 4 straight under bets cashing for the Florida Gators. There might be something to that. Not exactly running up tempo here. So I'll go under 59 total points scored in the Florida LSU game. Also another 12 noon Eastern game on SEC Network. So 3 conference games all kicking us off here on Saturday, 12 noon Eastern. Texas A&M at Missouri. We get A&M minus 10.5-point road favorites, 59.5 being the total. This is a tricky handicap. I mean, we're talking Texas A&M, pretty much the letdown of all letdown spots. They just beat the number 1 team in the country, now having to go on the road in the SEC and win by margin. That's a kind of tricky bet if you're looking to lay 10.5 here with A&M. They did look good against Alabama. How far does that take them, though? Because they really haven't looked good before that. So huge flat spot for A&M. Missouri on the other side of things, they're the worst bet in the country. 9 straight losses against the spread dating back to last season. If you've been betting Missouri, you're likely out of money by now. So taking that, you know, sidewise betting, I'm really not interested in either of those. Texas A&M, too big of a flat spot, and having to win by doubles on the road in Missouri. These trends, you know, 9 straight losses against the spread, I pretty much don't bet those. You know, it's just pretty much one way. I'm not betting Missouri pretty much, to make it a long story short here. So it's only total for me, and I'll go over 59.5. Texas A&M, the offense woke up, scored more than 40 points against the Alabama defense. You like to think that they'd be able to score that many points against one of the worst defenses in the conference. So Missouri also runs a bit of up tempo there with Eli Drinkowitz calling the plays. So over 59.5. Texas A&M in Missouri for the third 12 noon Eastern start. Got a couple more games. Barry, welcome in on YouTube. Yeah, fighting back this weekend. Absolutely. Bella Betts is doing good. The dog is healthy here in the state of Florida. So got her over, and she's safe from not that she wasn't safe in Mexico, just living on the street, probably a tough life. But yeah, loving her being here as well. Thanks for joining me live, Barry. And guys, anybody out there, feel free to comment below on YouTube, Drew Martin Bets, Twitter as well, and Facebook. If you're liking the content, please let me know, and please smash that like button. Heading down the list here, CBS, 3:30 Eastern, game of the day, game of the week, really, in the SEC, Kentucky at Georgia. 44.5 the total. Georgia Bulldogs minus 22-point home favorites. Sanford Stadium, Athens, Georgia, between the hedges. This is going to be a good one. Two 6-0 teams. The winner is in the driver's seat to go to the SEC championship here. You don't normally see a 3-touchdown favorite when that happens at this point in the conference, but it is what it is here. And look, I'm not necessarily looking to step in front of Georgia. And at the same time, I don't like betting against a team like Kentucky. 6-0 straight up, 5-1 against the spread, I believe. So they've been making a lot of money. But there is a trend here that I want to point out. I got it from Stat Daddy himself, Ralph Michaels. The trend is we're taking the profile here of the total being very, very low, 44.5, and a favorite of 3 touchdowns or more, meaning there's a team that's got to win by more than 3 touchdowns, yet the odds makers are telling us they're not going to score more than 46 points. That's the trend here that I'm trying to go after in terms of profile bet. You don't see it that often. It's only happened 84 times since 2013. And the trend is 50-34, 60% winning percentage of the dog of 21 plus points and a total of 46 or lower. Read that again. Dog 21 plus points. The underdog is 21 plus points, and the total is 46 or lower. That's happening here with Kentucky and Georgia. So since 2013, it's won at a 60% clip in terms of the underdog covering. That's the Kentucky Wildcats. I'll ride that trend here. Kentucky plus 22. Add on the fact of, we get Stoops there in Lexington, the way he's recruited. They got a quarterback that can throw it down the field. They got good athletes. Not as good as Georgia, but hopefully to stay within 3 touchdowns here. So the bet for this one is Kentucky plus 22. Couple more games here. SEC Network, 4 p.m. Vanderbilt at South Carolina. Total of 51. South Carolina minus 18.5-point home favorites. South Carolina really shouldn't be laying 18 points to anybody. That just speaks to how bad Vanderbilt really is. They can't move the ball offensively. South Carolina trends towards the under this season. 2 overs, 4 unders in terms of if you've been betting them totals wise. The only overs they've had, the 2 overs they've had, is Georgia and Tennessee. And Georgia and Tennessee did all the scoring. So really South Carolina hasn't earned over the total. Vanderbilt's not going to move the ball much. So I'll go under 51 South Carolina and Vanderbilt. 2 games left, both on the night slate. And the last one's actually the best bet. I'm not rearranging it to keep the best bet at the end. It's just the last game on the card for the SEC. ESPN, 7 o'clock here. Not the best bet, but one that I liked. I bet it personally. Bama minus 17-point road favorites at Mississippi State, 57.5 being the total. And this one is pretty much the trend of Nick Saban off of a straight up loss. So Alabama loses the game. What's he done the next week? Well, the last 5 times it's happened, Alabama's won and covered. So 5-0 straight up and against the spread. Obviously going to be a tough week of practice. Losing that game last week against Texas A&M. Now they're having to go on the road again. I don't like that situation, but going up against Mike Leach, I really don't think the Mike Leach experiment's going to last that long in the SEC. So I'm looking to bet against Mississippi State more so than bet on them. And sure enough, Nick Saban off of a loss, 5-0 straight up and against the spread. Ride that trend, laying the 17 with the Alabama Crimson Tide. So last game here, it's the best bet. We're going to go over 10 minutes, but I'll keep it short here. SEC Network, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific kick here. Ole Miss in Tennessee. We get Ole Miss minus 2.5-point road favorites. 81.5 is the total. Now, I bet this personally at 79. It ticked up to 80. Now it's at 81.5. I still like it. Over 81.5. Ole Miss in Tennessee is the best bet. This is the number 2 versus the number 3 offensive tempo rankings in the country, meaning in between snaps, they let up the least amount of time. So there's not going to be a whole lot of sitting around. Both of these two teams run very up-tempo offenses. And the pace metrics show at 2.9 plays per minute from both of these two teams. And I love that metric when both offenses go high tempo. I love betting that over because there's not a whole lot of dead time. Just the same when both offenses go low tempo, slow tempo. I like betting those games under. The market's onto it a little bit. I don't think enough. Over 81.5. Knoxville looks to have pretty decent weather Saturday night. So that's the best bet, guys. Ole Miss, Tennessee, over 81.5. Thanks for joining me, especially if you joined me the whole time. Shout out to you. Please smash that like button. And guys, on Twitter. If it's not working on Twitter or Facebook as well, YouTube is good at Drew Martin Bets. So best of luck if you're out there tailing Ole Miss, Tennessee, over 81.5 for the best bet. Have a fun, safe weekend, guys. Do this again next week.